Suppose this is day 2 of the interviews. Apparently there were no complaints after last time. The clinic still want me to carry it on. I'd just like to apologise for what happened afterwards. It's been a long day and I was sure there was someone at the door. Turns out there wasn't. When I came back, the microphone had turned itself off. It's a bit weird, actually. I'd said everything I needed to on reflection, thankfully. I've had a bit of a think. I can't stress enough the point of these interviews is to get to the root of the problem and pinpoint where their conditions started. Daisy meeting this friend of hers, Dominic starting his own research, Joanne losing her husband, and Greg's problems with the photographs. They've all made it clear that these were the events that triggered their conditions, and it's time to go in deeper. I need to start asking questions specifically about these events. No sidetracking, no taking no for an answer. Maybe if I can get them to retell these experiences, I can get them to start helping themselves. Maybe. Our second round of interviews will begin with Dominic.
No pressure then.
Hopefully we can clear the air a bit and make this experience beneficial for us both. How are you feeling today?
I wasn't doing too badly.
What changed?
I came here.
Yesterday you told me some things you've read about on the internet.
Now you're going to tell me how ridiculous I sounded.
I was actually going to ask you if what you've read could help me out. But if you're not interested...
What have you seen?
Nothing personally. But I may be interviewing some other patients who have experiences with things that are irregular. Similar to what you've mentioned, actually. One name in particular has popped up. Mr. Slender. Dominic. You alright? You've gone white.
I've read up on these urban myths and legends online. Most of the time it's just blurry pictures and a shaky camera footage, but some things... Why would people make up things as horrible as that? Was anything else said about it?
One patient said he's as tall as trees.
That sounds about right. I think the man you're dealing with is someone they call the Slender Man. I've been tracking it for months. It's tall. Too tall. It wears some sort of black suit. All it does is stand and watch us. Most of the time we don't even know it's there. Can I tell you a secret? My friend saw it. This was ages ago. He heard something in the night. Looked everywhere in the house, but he couldn't find anything. It was only when he looked out of his window it was there, watching him. He didn't know how long it had been there.
What happened then? What happened to your friend, Dominic? Dominic, nothing is going to get better if you don't tell me.
He moved away. He moved far away and I never heard from him again.
You don't seem very confident about that.
I want to go.
Dominic, sit down.
I want to go home and I want to go now.
Dominic, just calm down.
Now.
You don't have to do this.
Can't hear me.
Now then, Daisy. Feeling any better today?
I'm still called Mr. Charlie.
Sorry to hear that.
No, it's a good thing. Mr. Slender likes the cold.
It's good that you've mentioned Mr. Slender. I want to ask you a few questions about it.
About him?
Yes. Do you think he will mind?
Oh no, he's changed his mind from last time. I asked him and he said he likes you.
You've been to see him?
He came to see me.
Can I ask how you met him?
It was a rainy day. Not very nice at all. I was at school and we had a big assembly to say goodbye to Mr. Smith, the cleaner, who'd gotten too old for his job. Mr. Smith had a shed at the bottom of the playground that we weren't ever allowed to go in, but some of Mr. Smith's friends were cleaning it out for him. It's normally closed with a big padlock on the front, but that day it was open. Me and my friends all made a dare to see how far we could go near it, without the teachers noticing.
Weren't you scared?
All of my friends got scared and ran off before they could get to the shed. But I wasn't scared.
What was it like inside?
It was all cold and dusty inside. Lots of tools and boxes. It didn't look like Mr. Smith had taken very good care of it. But I can see why Mr. Slender liked it there. That's where I met him.
What do you think he was doing there?
He said he was waiting for me. He knew I'd be brave enough to go inside and no one else would.
What does he look like? You've told me how tall he is, but is there anything else you'd like to share?
He wears a long black suit. He looks very smart. But he doesn't look like my daddy when he wears a suit. Or all the doctors. He looks different. His hands are really big as well, like twigs, but as white as sheets.
What about his face? What's his face like?
He doesn't have a face.
Have any of your friends met him?
They don't want to. They don't believe in him. They say he's not real.
Maybe he isn't real. Maybe he's just in your head.
You shouldn't say that about him,
Why?
because you're going to make him mad.
Feel a bit more comfortable today, Greg?
I never feel comfortable, son, anymore.
Since you left your job?
Aye. I used to feel at ease behind the camera. Take a few snaps, send them off for printing, job well done. But even that's been taken away from me.
You chose to leave.
I didn't choose what happened. I didn't choose what happened to make me leave.
So what exactly happened?
I'm sure you've heard it all before from the folk around here.
Why would I ask if I already knew?
No one has let me tell the full story. Even the doctors at the clinic dismissed it. They listened, aye, but only to reinforce the diagnosis. My story has gone round, but no one has ever heard the full version. They don't understand. I used to be a paper boy. They got me dad's camera and worked my way up and going out and taking shots for the paper.
I don't need to hear about your job again.
I'm getting to it. Just wanted to clear up that over the 18 years I had been doing the job, nothing like this ever happened.
Like what?
About a year ago, I got a call telling me where my next job was. Dorothy Kilner was the oldest living resident of this town, and it was a birthday. She was celebrating her 95th birthday, so I went down to take a photograph. Pictured, printed, job done. But soon after I got a complaint from one of her relatives. Apparently, there was a smudge on the photograph. I never normally get complaints. So I took this one up. I took it down to the darkroom and started messing around with it, magnifying it and whatnot. They said the mark was above her left shoulder. At face value, it looked a bit dodgy. But once I looked closer, it was more than a mark. It was a hand, long and spindly. It was as white as a sheet, but it didn't look right. It didn't look normal. Why would there be a hand on her shoulder? Whose hand was it? I put all these thoughts out of my head after it, and I didn't say anything to anyone. 1 week after I'd taken the photograph, she was found dead.
Whose hand do you think it was?
That's what I wanted to find out. I started looking at archives in the office to see if this has happened before. They call it... I can't remember what they called it.
The Slender Man?
That's it. I couldn't find a lot on him. Just his name written on the back of a photograph. A picture of 2 kids, a brother and a sister. It was from an article about how they'd both died in a house fire. And the photo was dated to have been taken the week before that. I took a close look and both kids have a hand on either shoulder.
Do you not think that the lady died of natural causes? And that the kids were just an accident?
I wanted to. But then it happened again. This young girl from the town got into the National Gymnastics League down south. And I had to take a picture that morning. Afterwards, I got home, looked to it properly, and there was the same hand on her shoulder. I tried to phone into the venue to warn someone, but it was too late. They told me she never got that far. She had a car crash on the way down and she didn't make it. You don't believe me? I can tell.
No. I do.
No, you don't. No one ever does. No one else has the same pictures. Have a look. Can you see it?
Yes. I can see it.
What do you see?
That's a hand. Last one of the day, Joanne. Didn't think you'd come.
My carer said it'd be a good idea for me to come back. Helps me get out of the house more.
And does your carer know about David?
Well, everyone knows about our David.
And does everyone know about anything else?
Like what?
Nothing. I'd like you to tell me about what happened to David.
Well, me and our David used to go swimming quite a lot. Well, he did. I only started after I'd met him. I didn't even know how to swim. He taught me. He was a dead good teacher. Other couples used to go shopping or go to the pictures. We went swimming. Normally it was just to the baths or maybe to the seaside in the summer, but that was never enough for our David. He got bored very quickly. He was always a thrill seeker, so he convinced me to start going for drives in the countryside to find rivers and lakes. Never mind if we were allowed to go in them or not. If he saw one he liked, we'd pull over and get our kit off and go for a paddle. He liked to go when it was raining, but that meant it got quite rough sometimes. I'd usually sit in the car and watch on those days, but not that day. That day the heavens had opened, and he had me out of the door before the clock struck 9. I got my book with me and just planned on watching, but when we got there, something changed. It was dead choppy, barbed wire around it and everything. But I still wanted to go in, almost like I was being drawn to it. I got used to it quite quickly for a time. It seemed like we could handle it, but when the wind picked up, the current took us both by storm and we were off down the river, and I started clinging onto branches or trees in reach. With our David in the other hand, it was no use though. Both got pulled under and I had to let go. I remember thrashing and grasping for air, and that's when it happened. This icy cold hand grabbed my shoulder and pulled me up. Before I knew it, I was flopping about on the bank, freezing and drenched, but safe. Don't know how long it took for my eyes to adjust, but when they did, I remember looking up and seeing this tall figure standing over me. He was wearing some sort of black suit, I think. His hands were dead pale.
What about his face?
Oh, I couldn't make out his face. I was in such a state.
What do you think it was?
My saviour. He could be anyone for all I care. He spared my life. I think he was the reason I went in the water that day. So I could meet him. I haven't seen him since, but I know one day he'll come back for me.
Why didn't he save David?
He didn't need it. He went into life wanting a thrill, and he got what he wanted. I needed that experience to show me the truth.
Do you think anyone else is needed?
That's not for me to decide, Pet. But I know my David wouldn't have believed me if I told him. And look what happened to him. I don't think he takes non-believers. Do you believe, Charlie?
It's just getting out of hand. It's meant to be counselling for their emotional traumas and psychological conditions, not whatever it's becoming. It all started to look very specific. All 4 of the subjects claimed to have seen the same figure, this thing. But all 4 of them were under severe emotional conditions when their apparent experiences happened. Joanne had nearly drowned. Daisy must have been terrified. Greg was stressed because of work, and Dominic was severely paranoid. But it is more of a coincidence that all 4 of them claimed to have seen the same figure. And all 4 of them had no prior connection to each other. And there's never been a mention of these sort of experiences reported before. None of them were on any sort of prescription when they saw him. Or were they? I'm having a meeting with the clinic first thing tomorrow morning. I'll see how that goes. With any luck, they'll tell me to stop, pack up and go home. This has been a complete failure. Well, Hasn't been that big of a flop, I suppose. I wanted to learn how they met this thing, and I've got that. I suppose the next logical step is finding out who exactly they've met. Who is Slender Man?